Hey, Burge Linton here from Jake's Feed. Today we're going to talk about raised beds. Just got done building this one over at my brother's house. I think it turned out pretty well. Whole project took less than an hour. Pretty simple way to have a real good garden. The steps we're going to use today, basically, we've got it tilled up, and that's mainly just so we can get this bed level. We're going to build our raised bed out of cedar. We're using 2x10 cedar today, so that'll give us about 10 inches of good soil. We're going to fill it in with soil, get our plants planted. Not a very complicated process, just takes a little work. All right, we've got our wooden structure built, basically just 2x10 cedar. That way it'll last for quite a while. Just kind of raking around, getting the dirt up against the edges, getting kind of smoothed out, throwing any more rocks that I find out. If you're using like a raised bed mix that you know is weed free, you can put like a weed barrier down. That way you know you're not going to get any weeds coming up through. You'll have a weed free garden for quite a while. Today we're going to be using some native soil mixed with compost, so I'm not really worried about what's down underneath here, so I'm not putting a weed barrier down. But that is an option if you're using a soil that's been pasteurized and you know it's weed free. All right, we've got some of our native soil put in here. This is just some topsoil off another part of the property. It's just not where he wanted his garden. He wanted his garden up here by the house. Not good topsoil, so we're just gonna move that topsoil up here, put it in the raised bed. Now to enrich this topsoil, we're gonna go ahead and add our compost blend. We're using the Select Blend compost from Vital Earth. It's got manures, composted manures, and also cotton burr compost in it. Two of my favorite things in one bag. Makes it simple, we get everything in one bag. We're gonna try to mix, and we're gonna have about a third of this soil be our compost when we get done. And so we're just kind of estimating the cubic foot of soil in here and gonna add about a third of our compost in there with it. All right, we've got our box built and our soil mixed together with our compost. Now we're ready to plant. What he's wanting to plant, we're going to put in some tomatoes. We're going to put in some celebrity tomatoes. We're also going to put in some Sweet Cherry 100. They're a little cherry tomato. And he also wants a couple of jalapenos. We're going to be able to get about 6 plants in here with good, proper spacing. We want to make sure we're at least a foot from the edge. And then we want to place them at least 2 foot apart. So basically we're going to plant our corners, and then we're probably going to put one in the middle. We may be able to fit a couple in the middle, but we're just going to kind of see as we go. All right, the first one we're going to plant is our cherry tomato. So we're going to get a foot in from each side. When we plant these tomatoes, you want to make sure you get them good and deep. We're just going to plant them. We're going to plant them all the way to the top, and just the top leaves is the only thing I'm going to leave out of the ground. When you're putting that soil back in there, make sure you pack it in really good so there's not any air pockets in there. All right, we're good and packed in. We're going to move on to the next plant. I'm planting the cherry tomatoes in the ends. That way they tend to sprawl a little bit more than some of the other bushier type tomato plants. So we want to make sure they can kind of hang over the edge and they're not taking up a big spot right there in the middle of our raised bed. All right, now we've got our outside corners planted. That way we can kind of look at our spacing from here. I don't really want to overcrowd this, and we're going to have plenty of tomatoes. So we're going to go ahead and put one in the middle on this row, and then we're going to end up putting a couple of pepper plants on that side. Since they don't need quite as much space, we'll be able to fit 2 on that side in the middle. All right, we've got our tomatoes in. Now we're ready to plant our peppers. We'll be able to put them about right in here, and they'll be about 18 inches apart and 18 inches from each tomato plant, and that'll give them ample room. You don't plant them quite as deep as our tomatoes, but you do want them good and deep down in there. Make sure you pack that soil down real good. Whether you're gonna build a raised bed like this or you're farming in a traditional garden, come by Jake's Feed and we can help you out.